So greetings everyone, welcome to this session of daily meditations. Wherever you are, whatever you're currently engaged in, whatever the environment that you're in and the conditions that you're in, you're deeply, deeply welcome. Whoever you are and with whatever state of heart and mind and body you have arrived. That's all welcome, all welcome. And as always, it's heartwarming, heart-opening to be here with all of you with this Sangha Live community of practice. It's been so steady and so warm and so welcoming over these years. So whether you're here most days or it's your first time, or perhaps seeing in the chat some people saying, it's been a long time. Yeah. We can all feel ourselves equally welcomed into this space, invited into this space, and part of this space, part of this community. And for those who may not know me or remember me, my name is Zohar. I'm leading the daily meditations this week, as I've been doing quite regularly, I think for about 2.5 years now, almost 3, which is a wonderful thing to be part of. So as always, the session today will include some reflection on our theme for this week, and then some time for practice, a half-hour meditation, and then time for some questions and responses and reflections together. So, and I also apologize that I've got a cold, so I have to blow my nose every once in a while. I'm aware it's not the most pleasant of sounds, but I know you'll receive it gracefully and compassionately. I'd still want to name it. So this week, we are exploring this attitude of friendliness towards our experience. And yesterday, in particular, we were bringing just an attitude of friendliness and kindness to our experience, in particular to the anchor of attention that we were using. So we're using just a little recap, or kind of bringing everyone in if you weren't here yesterday, just bringing that attitude of friendliness in to our mindfulness practice as we were attending to breath or sound as the primary anchor of attention. And this attitude of friendliness, of kindness, of goodwill is called metta in the teachings, M-E-T-T-A. Beautiful word. It comes from the root of friendship in Pali, and it has quite a broad meaning. You can say it has well-wishing, goodwill, friendliness, very commonly translated as loving kindness. One of my friends who's a Pali scholar, actually, a doctor of Pali, she translates it as a loving intention. So we can kind of get a sense of the kind of wide range that it includes. And today we will explore cultivating. So this is a cultivation of an intention. It's not an on-off button that we press. We're cultivating it, building that skill. We will explore bringing that same attitude of metta home, bringing it to ourselves. Yeah, bringing it to ourselves. Now, watch what happens when I say that. Whether you're familiar with this practice or not, there may be an internal response to that sense of, oh, I need to bring kindness or friendliness to myself. And it may feel like, yes, it may feel like a parched desert, really, wanting it or loving this kind of practice. And it may feel like immediately there's a shutdown, in the sense of like, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that. So there can be all kinds of internal responses to that, which we're interested in, we're allowing, we want to know. So it's not necessarily easy to bring a sense of kindness, of friendliness, of goodwill, of well-wishing to ourselves. And interestingly enough, it wasn't easy 2,600 years ago either, when the Buddha first offered this practice. There's a beautiful teaching from the Buddha where we're told, that we could search the whole world and not find anyone more deserving of metta, of this attitude of kindness, care, and friendliness, than ourselves. So we could search the whole world and not find someone more deserving than ourselves. And just watch what happens when you hear that. I always, I've said it, I've heard it countless times. It always deeply moves me. And there's so many layers to it. One is that sense of, yes, we do qualify for kindness. We do deserve friendliness, each of us. But also he's saying, the Buddha is saying this, or the teachings are saying this to all of us. All of us. So this is true for all beings. There's nobody more deserving than ourselves. And that's true for all of us. Okay. Can you see that? It's so deeply beautiful. We all deserve to be held in kindness. All of us, whoever we are and however we are. We qualify. We're deserving. And so, again, noticing what's coming up for you, and maybe, there's a sense of resonance. Maybe there's an opening. Maybe there's still a sense of this is too hard, or this is, just closing the heart, even coming near this intention. And so we need to find our way in, and this can take time, and it can take creativity. So we're not forcing this. We're not forcing self-metta. That would be a little bit counter the direction of the intention. So one way that we can find our way in is through beginning the practice, as we'll do now, with what we call the easy relationship. Someone for whom we naturally feel metta. We naturally feel well-wishing. We naturally feel friendliness, where it's relatively easy. We start with that person, and then we build on that easeful metaphor or meta-present. Not be full, there may just be a whisper there. We build on that and we bring it in. One really helpful thing to remember is when metta is moving through us, it's impacting us already. It's in us already. So we can turn to that. We can utilize that. So there's a lot of possibilities, but always with metta practice, we start with what's accessible and we expand and we build on that. And remembering the range of metta, that's why I began with it. And sometimes, at its kind of one end of it, it's just non-ill will. It's the opposite of ill will. And it's just the absence, we can say, of ill will. So it doesn't have to be this, incredibly dramatic love. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And it can be just that quality of friendship that we were speaking about yesterday, like the kindness and interest that we feel when a good friend is listening to us, or when we listen in friendship to another. So we know that and we can tune in. And so that whole range from non-ill will, just non-enmity, non-ill will, the absence of, to all the way, through this range to really holding someone, including ourselves, very dearly, very dearly. So just a few more words and then we'll practice. It may be that the question arises, why do this? Our practice is about paying attention, being present with our experience. Why are we cultivating an attitude, a way of relating? And so, as we mentioned yesterday, part of that is because the way of relating impacts the experience. It's a building block of experience. Because this attitude of kindness, friendliness, goodwill is a real resource and nourishment for ourselves and therefore for the world. And it supports us in our relationship with ourselves and therefore our relationship with others. So these are just some reasons why do this. At the same time, we're not making this a struggle. We're not making this an ideal that we need to achieve. Yeah, I need to have kindness to everyone. Develop self-kindness. Come on, like not measuring ourselves up against that. Yeah, so a lot of patience, playfulness, creativity in the journey. In the journey. And if metta to oneself, to self-metta is too difficult, it's too steep a mountain to climb, don't push it. Yeah, just be happy, satisfied, content with metta to others. Yeah? And even what we call the metta, the big picture metta, which is saying, okay, right now this isn't the right practice for me. I'm doing breath or sound, as an act of kindness. That's what we're emphasizing. Now, I will be guiding the practice using probably using phrases, and we can use phrases, we can use images, we can use a felt sense. All of these are part of the metta practice, or can be. Yeah? And we can also just use that practice that we did yesterday towards the breath or the sound, and use it towards the image of ourselves or another being, just being held and received in kindness. So we have some possibilities here. So hopefully that is clear and interesting. And let's put it into practice. And if there's any questions afterwards, we can explore them. So yeah, let's take our seat or our stand or our reclining posture, if that's the most appropriate posture for you. Yeah. And settling into the posture. Feeling the awareness and the attention coming into the body. If it's helpful, using the sensations of contact to ground and root, gather the awareness and the attention in the body. those sensations of contact, body with that which supports the body. And from that rootedness, gatheredness, in the contact sensations, gently inviting the awareness to soften and open in your own time. Awareness opening and spreading, softening through the whole body. We have a sense of the whole body here. And then within this soft, open space of awareness through the whole body, remembering our intention, practice as an act of kindness. With that intention and the awareness soft and open through the whole body, we're going to invite into awareness someone towards whom it's relatively natural, accessible to feel a sense of metta, of friendliness, of care, of well-wishing and goodwill. Some of us, this may be easier with a non-human being. That sense of the unconditionality of the friendliness or the easefulness of it. It might be a good friend or somebody who's really supported us through our lives. Or a fresher life, a younger life. Sometimes these are just some examples, but any being for whom this attitude and quality of metta, relatively accessible, natural, possible. So bringing that being to mind, holding them in awareness, and then directing that well-wishing kindness, care towards them. Might use phrases. I'll offer some suggestions in a moment. Maybe using images or felt sense, like radiating a sense of kindness and care towards them, cocooning them, supporting them, holding them. That sense of care. Or maybe a sense of radiating or showering. Felt sense of that warmth radiating out, that care radiating out. And we may use phrases like, may you be happy, may you be safe. I'm still very much grounded with the awareness through the whole body. And then the image of this other being. The metta radiating, flowing, raining like a gentle rain or a mist of nourishment and care. Let's explore this for a little while. Radiating, sending, bathing, cocooning, holding this other being, supporting this other being with friendliness, care, well-wishing. So in this practice, we keep bringing into awareness or enlivening that image of the other, and at the same time also enlivening that movement of metta, that radiation of that intention. So the images or the phrases or the felt sense, there's sometimes a combination. It's also fruitful for some of us. Radiating the warm light, golden light of metta. Radiating the softness of care that can hold us in safety. And if there's a sense that this process of directing, sending the metta to another, if that's working to some degree, if there's a feeling of it, and we can feel the awareness through the whole body also. Can open also here to the sense of, as we're directing, radiating, raining, this caring, kind, friendly attitude of well-wishing, also moving through us. There's two possibilities here. We can feel it moving through the being and nourishing. We can also open to a cyclical movement between ourselves and this other being that we're sending the metta to or directing it towards. The sense that it's going, moving through myself, radiating out to the easy, being the easy relationship. And like a soft rain, soaking, nourishing, soft warm rain. Or a warm light that's flowing and bathing the other. But then it comes back to us because we know this other being also holds us in friendship. And so we can imagine, feel this cyclical movement, maybe centered in the heart, maybe in the whole being, but moving, flowing through our own being and out to the other, then nourishing them and flowing back to us. Just like the cycles of water, coming the clouds and then showering down onto the earth in the big bodies of water, and again moving through like that. Let's explore this slightly longer stretch of silence now to get into it in your own way, your own pace and intensity. And so gently notice what you notice, not judging if the mind is distracted, opening to this moment of experience and to this attitude of kindness, practice as an act of kindness. Tuning into this other and yourself and feeling that flow of movement between you, that flow of metta, kindness, flowing and nourishing in the giving and the receiving. The awareness is soft through the body, open through the body. And the metta as an intention flowing, radiating, raining warmly and softly, deeply nourishing, wishing well. And if you're ready, when you're ready, seeing if you can keep this cyclical movement going, but shift the primary kind of weight of the attention to yourself. A little bit more emphasizing the receiving of the metta. Still flowing via another and soaking it in, absorbing in sense of care, of kindness, of wishing for your safety and your well-being. Like receiving the aliveness of the breath, like receiving the warmth of the sun, like the earth receiving the softness and life force of the rain. Letting yourself open and receive. So softening awareness through the whole body, inviting yourself to receive that kindness more fully, more deeply. Whether it's easier to feel it as it passes through you, directed to another, or to receive it from the other to yourself, or directly from yourself to yourself. Opening to it and soaking it in, deserving of kindness and care. When the bell rings, taking your time, emphasizing the attitude of kindness. Seeing if we can keep that thread going even when the eyes open, the body moves. So in a moment, we'll open to questions. Just before that, some reflections on dana and dana practice. As you know, these sessions are very much offered freely. There's no fixed price to join. And so there's the invitation to support Sangha Live with all the costs of offering these sessions, which are many, and support the teachings via the teacher, which this week is myself. And anything you offer will be divided between Sangha Live and myself, and it's really gratefully received. And I want to invite today with the dana practice, it is a practice, it's not just a thing unrelated. I want to invite a sense of our dana practice being an act of self-metta. Seeing that connection, that as we're offering dana to the platform, to the teacher, for on behalf of others that may not be able to offer right now, all of these things, we're actually also offering dana to ourselves. It's an act of metta and dana towards oneself, because it aligns us with what deeply matters to us, but also because we are supporting this community which supports us, and seeing that cyclical relationship. So yeah, that's the invitation. I hope it's a practice of joy and of tenderness. Really happy to have any questions or reflections on the practice, on the teachings today, or anything else to do with your practice or with the teachings that you'd like to ask. If you ask a question, really helpful if you put question in capital letters at the beginning, then I can identify it within the chat as a question to me, rather than something going on between people in the community. Yeah, and everything's welcome. Really important to say. You don't need to agree. You don't need to have understood any of these things that come in. You don't need to be full of kindness as you ask. You just kind of, yeah, whatever's alive for you is deeply welcome. And it can be, helpful to also reflect how was this practice for me? How did it meet me? Yeah, and kind of what opened for me or what was blocked. They're both equally interesting. How did I respond? Let's take a pause. I'll just be quiet for a minute or two to see if questions come. Sometimes they take a little bit of time. Well, actually, I might tell you a story in the meantime. There it is. How is meditation, particularly metta practice, affected by dementia? That's a great question, Lizzie. We probably don't know. Yeah. On the one hand, we could say that, we don't understand what happens in a mind with dementia. And I used to work a lot with people with dementia, and it was very interesting to see how it can affect people very differently. There were some people who had, not had a lot of kindness throughout their lives, and then the dementia actually made them much easier to be around and more pleasant for their family. And sometimes it's also the opposite. Yeah, it really impacts the brain, which impacts the mind and the heart. At the same time, I would say that we have a more reliable base if we've practiced with meditation and with metta, or other cultivations of wholesome and nourishing states of heart and mind. These are stronger in our brain. Yeah, well, on a scientific or physiological sense, we can say, what we're really doing is it's understood by science today. We're strengthening the neural pathways towards kindness, towards gratitude, towards generosity, all of which are linked to well-being. We know that now, not just because the Buddha said so and other spiritual teachers, and it's our own experience, but also because science shows that. So the more the mind, the brain is inclined that way, that the stronger base we would have to then stay attuned to those states of mind more. Yeah, and for them to be more dominant and prominent, even as essentially the brain is ravaged by this disease. And how accessible meditation is, I would imagine, is probably pretty dependent on the individual and their particular conditions and circumstances, what's actually going on, what parts of the brain are being affected, etc. So it's a really interesting reflection, and often we say, our practice is a preparation also. It's very much about the here and now, but it also builds resilience for when difficult conditions arise, such as different kinds of illness, whether they're more affecting us emotionally and mentally or physically or both. We are building some resilience there. Okay. So there's another question. Let's look at that. I noticed the mind coming up with thoughts of self-criticism and also being judged by another. I gave it space and then noticed the beautiful feeling tone of the flow of metta from the other. I've never noticed that before. Yeah, so it's a reflection. And yeah, very, very beautiful. That we can really get caught up in certain dynamics. We know that with ourselves. Yeah? We're kind of primed to criticize ourselves, or we're primed to congratulate ourselves, whatever it is. You know, we're caught in certain dynamics, and that can also happen with relationships with someone else. And what these kind of practices do, they open us to more. Yeah, they open us to more, and then we can notice more. Yeah, it's really, that simple, that profound. But opening to more, we notice more. See, I'm the self-criticism, very, very beautifully described there, Nikki. There's self-criticism, and there's a sense of also the other criticizing me. And then when I open and I give it space, first of all, I meet it with kindness. I'm not just trying to get it to go away. And then feeling that flow of metta, and that changes the experience. Yeah. And then there's the sense of when I give my own experience space, I can also feel that there is a flow from the other, and that's really, really beautiful. Yes, and when we can notice the kindness, I sometimes do it intentionally when I am caught up in a difficult dynamic with someone. I intentionally bring to mind the things about them that I know, the times in our relationship perhaps where there's been kindness, and I tune into that, and then I can remember that's still there. So even if there's friction right now, that is also there, that's also at play, and I can tune into that, and then that opens up for that same frequency of kindness to be more present for me. So I'm more resourced, I'm more nourished, I feel that also, my base is wider, and also I can express it more, which then changes the dynamic. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Now, as soon as one person in a dynamic can shift to this attitude, it changes the whole thing. Not always dramatically, not always in the moment, yeah, but it opens that doorway. So there's another reflection there from Tanya. It's so helpful to keep connecting with my body, exploring how wellness, ease, safeness feel in my body. Yeah. And this allowed me to both receive metta and for it to flow from me. I appreciated the helpful reminder to not judge the distracted mind, as the distraction never stops for me. Yes, many of us know that. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, again, so insightful, so delightful. Yeah, like all the reflections and questions so far. Yeah, the emphasis on the body is really, really helpful. Both, it's another way of actually feeling our experience. It also widens our container for our experience. And then we can receive the metta and let it flow much more. Yeah. Sometimes a way of practicing metta that can be really rich. Nathan, my partner, who many of you know, teaches it this way. It's actually pause and feel what a particular quality feels like before you send it. Yeah, so like feel, what is happiness? Yeah, what does it feel like in the being, in the body, heart, and mind? What's peacefulness? What's safety? What does it feel like? And then it both really kind of builds, the sense of what it is, and the nourishment, the self-nourishment, because if we feel it more, we're receiving it in the moment, and it makes it kind of more juicy in the sending. Yeah. And I see there's another reflection, probably might be the last one for today. I never spent so much of the metta session focusing on someone easy to love. Really helpful in transforming the grumpy mood in which I work this morning. Wonderful. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah, do the easy. Yeah, because there's so much there, and it really can shift things for us. And then, like, the benefit for yourself and for others. That you're not grumpy in the same way that you were. It's huge. And we can also see the power of how the metta to another shifts our own being. That it's working on us at the same time. So yeah, really, really wonderful. And yeah, there is one more, and I've just got time to read it out. My mind was wandering a lot to find some place to settle. And finally, a newborn bird arrived in my hand, and a feeling of this creature needing protection, and I need to give it back to its nest and its parents. And I realized that caring is to let it go home to where it belongs. Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that sense of, we can use our imagination as was done here. Yeah, in the sense of, this newborn bird landing here, and the sense of care, yeah, for it, and wanting it to have the best protection and conditions. Yeah. Then giving it back to the nest, giving it back to the parents who can look after it. Yes, there's this sense of that beautiful metta, both the self-metta in not giving up on yourself, even though the mind was wandering a lot, staying steady. There's a lot of self-metta there, there's a lot of kindness there. And then that beautiful sense of this vulnerable other and the care for it. Yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone for these beautiful reflections, your practice, your listening, and go well for today. And I will hopefully see you all tomorrow. Go well and take care.